Morning, it's Andy, the Expedition Hiker, and we're out on another walk, and my back is feeling a little bit better, so we're going to try and get on to do quite a few walks now. Today we're on the eastern side of Nottinghamshire, not far from Lincolnshire. So we're at a place called Fiskerton, as you can see behind me, a train station, and we're going to do a bit of a horseshoe walk today. We're going to head up to Southwell, or Southwell, however you pronounce it. Is it Southwell? Is it Southwell? Is it Bath? Is it Bath? Who knows? But we're going with Southwell today. So once we get to Southwell, we're going to visit a couple of places. We're going to the Archbishop's Palace, then we're over to the Minster, then we're going over to where the original Bramley Apple tree is meant to be located. From there, we're going to head out of Southwell. So overall, I think it's about 12 and a half miles. It's a nice, great day, nice and sunny, hardly a cloud in the sky, and it's not too cold either. So let's get walking and see what we can see. So we're at Fiskerton, and that's one hell of a wonky, what do you call it, signal box, or where they change the lanes. You've got all the levers in there. I don't know what you actually call it. It needs a bit of juking attention, I think. Right, anyway, we're crossing the railroad and we're going to head that way and then that way. So the building there in front of us, with a pointy roof, looks a bit like a dovecote. That's part of the farm. But they also, when I was walking past, it doesn't look so bad from this angle, but it was a bit wonky as well, as in leaning over to one side. This is a bit of a floodplain because we're near the Trent, and the River Trent is renowned for flooding. But the ground is so soft and the clay that the buildings are starting to subside. The Tour de France just passed me. As I was walking up this way, past a lady, she mentioned that this signal box is very old, very old. And by the look of it, it does look that way. And the paint on it looks like it may have been lead paint peeling away. I don't think it's in use anymore. So I think it's another signal type box. And we're going to head this way now, on the road a little bit, and then we'll pick up on the footpath, hopefully in about a couple hundred metres. Okay, just a very tight one, but the old withered tree over there. So, okay, if we can zoom in. Zoom. So the plaque just in front of it is the original Bramley Apple tree. It's actually got a fungal disease on it now that's actually incurable. And Nottingham University have taken over it. They've bought the two cottages, this one and next door. And they're going to try and treat it and look after it as best they can. So the saplings that were taken from it over the years have all come from this tree. So this is the Bramley Apple pub, or Bramley Apple Inn, as the signs say. Now, I've been talking to a lady called Carol from Fiskerton with a dog, or a friend's dog, as we headed into Southwell, and she's told me lots. So she said that the Minster costs a lot of money to run. So this is Southwell Minster. Not a cathedral, but it's as big as one. So now we're going to head down to the Archbishop's Palace, the remains of it. It's got an interesting history to it, as it was built for the Archbishop of York. He resided there at one point until the dissolution of monasteries, and thanks to Henry VIII. The building to my right, now I believe that is the Great Hall. And then the building beyond it is part of the remains of the palace. There on the left hand side we have Southwell Minster. connection to my Pilgrim's Way walk. The Bishop of Winchester once lived here. Cardinal Thomas Wolsey, Archbishop of York. In front of us we have the Archbishop Palace ruins. This seamlessly tranquil spot has been the heart of British history and witness to the treachery and intrigue that comes along with it. 1194, King Richard the Lionheart stayed here. 1395, King Richard II stayed here. The building has hosted many archbishops, kings and a cardinal. Cardinal Wolsey stayed here after failing to get Henry VIII's first marriage annulled by the church. So did King Charles I, whose struggles with Parliament led to the Civil War. For each, this was a place of sanctuary before heading to London to face imprisonment and death. 1884, the Minster became a cathedral. Oh, maybe it is a cathedral. But it is a town, not a city, that we're in. The palace is restored in 2014, so plenty of people have stayed here over the years. The cathedral was actually built on an early Roman villa. And in front, this is part of the old site, the old Roman villa. It used to be stationed at Southwell many moons ago, so probably about the 4th century. So although the actual original Bramley Apple tree is got a fungal infection that can't be cured, this is a cutting of the tree. It looks like it's thriving and still growing. Hopefully it hasn't got the same fungal infection.
A church has stood on this site since 627, founded by Paulinus. He was a Roman missionary and the first Archbishop of York. It served the Archbishop as a place of worship and was a collegiate body of theological learning. The church was served by Prebends. With a collegiate church, a Prebend is an honorary canon, whose role is the administry of the church. In 956, King Eadwig gave land in Southwell to Fiskerton, Archbishop of York, where a Minster church was built. The Minster was expanded from 1108 from stone from a nearby Anglo-Saxon former church. The construction continued with the nave and was finished in 1150. After the dissolutions in 1536, the Minster was refounded in 1543 by an Act of Parliament.
We're just entering the chapter house. Looks very Harry Potter.
This chapter house, built in an octagonal style, was completed in 1288. Its purpose is where meetings take place as a collegiate church. The dean, the prebendaries and canons meet here. And in 1646, Charles I was captured while in Southwell. The adjoining Archbishop's Palace was completely destroyed, leaving just the shell we see today. Although the original plans were to make Southwell Minster a cathedral back in 1540, these plans didn't come to fruition until 1884. The original spires were destroyed in 1711 by a fire. These spires were replaced in 1881.
So we went past Gascoigne's, I think it was called Prebends, and the daughter of Gascoigne's lives in the house now. And that was the first Gascoigne's, or the estate agent chain, which is just up at the edge of Church Street.
The Saracen's Head has been an inn since the 13th century. In 1396, the inn became the property of the state. The ambassador to the French King Louis III stayed here, and so did the poet Lord Byron and the writer Charles Dickens. The inn has had many roles over the years, including court baron to the Archbishop of York. King Charles I entertained the Scottish commissioners for dinner at the Saracen's Head in 1646, the night before surrendering, after Charles believed he had secured sanctuary from Cromwell and the parliamentarians. The Scottish commissioners betrayed the king and handed him over for a substantial fee.
So early on I spoke about a lady that I met called Carol. As we were walking towards Southwell, she was walking with her friend's dog. She told me a few places to go to in Southwell and pointed out a few locations that I didn't realise were there. Anyway, I decided of leaving Southwell and take an alternative route to go past onto the Robin Hood's Way, past Brackenhurst College, which is a agricultural type college, a part of Nottinghamshire University. Anyway, as I started walking down this some of the paths and I came across another church, and lo and behold, Carol is there again walking along. She's leaving Southwell, and we end up walking again. And she actually only just left me. She's headed back to where she lives. It was nice to meet you, and I believe she's subscribed to the channel. If you haven't subscribed, then please do, because there's plenty more coming this way, especially as I'm back sorted out now, or near enough. So we're going back on the mend, and we'll get back out doing some walks all over the place. We've got quite a bit of a few wildcats I want to do. I've got some kit that I bought over Christmas I was wanting to try out, but I haven't been able to go out because of my back. So all that gear to try out. I've got a tent I want to trial out as well, a Tempest Pro. So plenty to go, and on top of that, 1,000 subscribers, we go and sleep in the haunted house. I'm thinking a hotel, haunted hotel. Right, let's keep going.
This is the Manor farm in the hamlet of Halloughton. It used to be a prebend of Southwell Collegiate Minster, where we visited earlier today. The Manor farm was a prebendal house. The only other example of a tower house in the county is at Bouvelle Priory, where we visited one of my earlier walks. A prebendal house incorporated a medieval tower, this one dating back to the 13th century. The tower still has remains of early timber floors and a timber roof. It may have been built as a defensive structure to provide insurance against the bands of thieves and outlaws that operated from nearby Sherwood Forest.
Next point of call is going towards Epperstone. Along the way, we're going to come across the remains of a building which is believed to be from the Romans. So just looking back where we just come from, you can just about see over there is the power station, and that's right next to the River Trent, and also not far from Newark. Just beyond it you could just about make out some buildings. That's Newark. That's the way we would have gone originally, but I changed my plan and we've gone the opposite way instead. So rather than going like a northerly direction, we're going in a southwesterly direction now. This is, well, can't see anything there, but there's a Roman villa used to be there. I think about where the centre of the screen is from how the map shows. Anyway, we're going to head down this track and head up that hill. I think the other side of that we should be able to see Epperstone. So the centre of this field, just slightly left of the track, about halfway through it, is where the villa was meant to be. Now, as it says, there's meant to be remains. I cannot see no remains there. Can you? So we're just heading down to Epperstone, and I've just realised that when I first left the army, I thought about joining police, Nottinghamshire Police, and I think Epperstone was the place where I went to do my recruitment tests. It was quite funny though, because I did really well, passed all the tests, the physical. In fact, out of the physical day, I was the best in my group, and then I got to the final interview and they said, well, you got medical discharge from the army, so you can't join the police. Yet I beat everybody on the physical day. As I said, I beat all 8 people in my group, which was surprising, because actually I beat everybody on the sit-ups, press-ups, shuttle run, standing jump and all that sort of stuff. And yet 3 of the people that did my fitness day with actually got in the police force. Yeah, I was fitter than them. How's that work? I didn't really know. Also in Epperstone, they've got 2 dovecotes. Now you don't see many dovecotes nowadays, but actually Epperstone's got 2. So I think we're going to pass both of them. So we're going to head down there now. So I'm correct. Epperstone was the Nottinghamshire Police Constabulary Headquarters at one point. Used to do all the training here. I've been told they actually still use the rifle range, although it's a public rifle range now. Although the Manor, the training centre was based at, is now apartments. And we'll see if we can spot it, the old Manor house. As we head into the centre of Epperstone, we come across one of the original dovecotes. So it's nice to see a dovecote still standing. Sorry about the light. The sun's been catching me the wrong side all day. So the buildings on our left hand side, the white building and the green building beyond that, are part of the complex of what Nottingham Constabulary used to be. Here in front is the old Manor. It's actually bigger than I actually remember. Still a bit bitter about that they didn't let me in. Still fitter than probably half the police officers in the police now. But anyway, that's a different story. And here we have the original gateway. Now, I just spoke to a lady that is an estate agent, and part of the manor is available to buy at the moment. So I've just been informed the building in front is the other dovecote, so can see a bit of an entrance where doves would have come from. And then there's a more modern version of a dovecote there. Yeah, I mean from the rear it looks quite big. Obviously from the front it looks more grander. An interesting chimney at the end of the building here. Just looks out of place. Like 4 times too big. The building it's underneath. Not sure if it was an old forge or anything. We've got this little building on the end as well. This sort of like tower thing that seems to be separate to the whole main building. I'm sure all of this will be incorporated into one building, whatever it may be. Right, time's ticking anyway. It's 4 o'clock now, so I've got about an hour and 40 minutes before it's dark. I think I've only got about 3 miles to go. Plenty of time. Right, we're now heading out of Epperstone, and now next stop is Calverton, I think. GG Ball, Chestnut Farm. It's known to be a good egg. I'm interested to know what a hybrid chicken is. Is it half electric? Well, I'm heading into Calverton, but I never expected to see this. NASA. I'm not sure if that's a false sign or what, but I'm sure why NASA would be here. Newark area safe for NASA. Well, I'm just walking through the suburbs of Calverton. I think it's a village more than a town, I'm not sure. But all I've seemed to have seen is caravans and holiday homes so far. I haven't actually seen a proper house, but probably gone past 300 caravans and holiday homes. I mean, it's not like Skeggy. There's no sea around here. It's quiet, I give it that. It's not exactly one tourist spot. This is St Wilfred of Calverton. Right, we have just reached Calverton, and that's where I'm going to finish this one. I've probably done about 14 miles today, so a good walk out. I've obviously went to Southwell. Now we did change the route from Southwell, did aim for Newark, but changed it, went the opposite direction to Calverton. But overall it's been a good walk. I'm planning for Easter to do my haunted house sleepover. So stay safe, look after yourselves, and I'll see you soon. Bye bye hikers.